Well, buckle up, Buttercup. It's time for the According to Willie B podcast right here from the Highly Caffeinated Studio. And here we are already in the 20th of June. This year is just flying by. Have you taken your summer vacation yet? Have you got it planned? Or are you just thinking that, well, maybe I'll just wing it? No, no, no. Do not do that. Do yourself a favor and plan it out. So, I guess my question for you today is, do you have it planned? And if so, where are you going? Now, I realize you can't answer me back, but I feel that I'm hearing a bunch of answers in the background. And I know that some people this time of year like to go on a cruise. So I thought, why not? Let's talk about cruise lines. Because it has gotten to be so daunting of a task to choose a cruise line now. Each one has its own line of mega ship, supersized, regular ship, normal ship. Some's in ship shape, some's not in ship shape, some needs to be shipped out. I don't know, but there is an immense amount of information on the web about which cruise line that you want to go on. And that's the biggest decision. And then you get into the other 200 decisions. Where are you going? How much do you want to spend? What's your budget? What do you want to eat? What do you want to see? The list just like I said, is daunting. So I hope that I can at least at the end of this podcast make it as clear as mud. And, not real thick mud, just regular mud. So I'm going to give you some of the biggest differences. And while I could spend an entire day telling you the differences between different cruise ships, I'm going to try to condense it into basically what you call a Reader's Digest version. So at least you have that big nugget of information when you go to book a cruise. You can kind of have some sense of direction in your mind of which way you want to go. And I have been on, I would say, close to 30 cruises in my lifetime. And while that doesn't make me a professional by any stretch of the imagination, I have been on a few, and I do know what I like and what I don't like. And if I have to be perfectly honest, and I always try to be, I would say that cruises are not necessarily my favorite thing anyway. Here's why. It's not that if you sent me a ticket today and said, hey, we're going on a cruise tomorrow, pack your bags, I would be there. I would be the first one there. But when it comes to going to tropical locations, I prefer to go to a like a all-inclusive resort where I don't have to go anywhere else once I get there. And I did that one podcast on Jamaica, so you can go back and kind of listen to that and compare it to what I'm about to tell you on cruise lines. And I think if you compare the two, you'll see why I prefer the destination of a resort rather than getting on a cruise ship. But now I will not turn a cruise down, don't get me wrong. So your biggest differences between cruise lines is going to be their target audience. And so let's say you have a family and you have little kids. And so you're going to be looking at there's going to be a disclaimer after this. So don't throw stuff at me yet, because there's a disclaimer coming at the end. Okay. But the biggest difference is their target audience. So like you got Disney. Well, naturally they're after the family budget, right? Especially if you have kids, I would say, I'm going to go with 12 or under. Over 12, especially in today's times, they're really going to want a more grown-up appeal. Kids nowadays seem to be aging faster than we did at our at when we were growing up, so to speak. But so Disney would be your first choice. Now, you're saying, okay, but I've got a tight budget. Okay, so then maybe Disney is not going to be on your list of cruise lines because they are a tad bit more expensive. They do offer a lot more. They offer a lot for families and kids, whether it be their entertainment or their kids' clubs or whatever the case may be. They strictly do their cruise catered to families with children. But you've also got Royal Caribbean stepping up their game with some of their newer ships doing the same thing. They've got the kids clubs, they've got the different family style entertainment and things like that. So they're, I think, in my mind, and if I sit in their boardroom, I might be corrected, but I think in my mind, just from the outside looking in, that they are trying to get a piece of that family market. Now, if we took all of the cruise lines and put them in a bucket, put the lid on it, shook them up, poured them all out, there's not a whole lot of difference between any of them, other than if you take Carnival, Royal Caribbean, they also want to adhere to that, or they want to attract, rather, they want to attract the party crowd, especially Carnival. Carnival is well known for the party crowd. They got the casino, they got the late night activities, they got the nightlife, they got everything for the adults. But yet, if you go on a Carnival cruise, what do you see? You see tons and tons of kids. And so you have that family budget, and it's like, okay, we can do one trip this year, and we got to appease everybody. So we want the nightlife for mom and dad when the kids go to sleep, and we want that daytime kid activity during the daytime, even if they're not strictly catered to, or directly catered to rather. There's still kind of a mix. So at the end of the day, what you have to do is you have to pick a ship, or first of all, pick a cruise line to your budget, because you've got, let's say for couples and adults, I would recommend Celebrity, Princess, Holland America, because they're more upscale amenities, the dining options. It's quieter at night, so that's really like for an older crowd without the kids, or maybe honeymoon or anniversary or something along that lines. Now, if you want the party atmosphere, the casino, the nightclub, whatever the case may be, you don't want to go to bed at 9:00 p.m., then you'll want Carnival. And Norwegian has some nighttime activities as well. Like I said, they all have some kind of, they try to slip a little bit of it in on all of them so that they can't say, well, y'all don't have this or y'all don't have that. So they try to have a little bit, they try to cater to everybody, so to speak. It makes sense? Okay. So then now, if you look at the cruise lines, you pick a cruise line, you got to pick your destination, because that's important. Where do you want to go? And usually your spouse will dictate, hey, I want to go to the Bahamas. I want to go to Mexico. I want to go here. I want to go there. So you already kind of usually have a destination in mind. So now you got to pick your cruise line to match that destination and also to match your budget. Once you get those three things in line, you're well on your way to not knowing half of what you want. Congratulations. I'm not kidding at that either. And if you've never booked a cruise, you're going to find out. What I do recommend and what I don't recommend. I do recommend going online to each individual cruise line and looking at your options and book straight through the cruise line. I will probably get slapped for this one, but I've never in my life used a travel agent. I've always done my own travel booking. And it's not that, especially with the internet now, it is so easy, and there's so many different sites that you can use. But now, like, just for instance, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but like, when I book a flight, I go straight to the airline. I book at that airline. If it's American, if it's Southwest, or if it's United, or whatever it is, I book through that airline. If it's a rental car, same thing. I book through that rental car. But if it's a hotel, hey, Expedia, hook me up. And so for some reason, that's just always been my preference of when I book trips. But let's go back to the cruise ship. So Now, once you pick your cruise line, you've got your destination and you've got your budget in mind. Now you have to pick which ship you want. And because there are some ships that go to the same location or destination that you want to go to. And you got all these new mega ships that have water parks and zip lines and go-karts and axe throwing and golf. I mean, it's crazy what they put on a cruise ship nowadays. Have you been lately? I'm not wrong. If you've been lately, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's some people in the back in the Amen choir going, "Yep, that's right, Brother Will, you preach it." So anyway, I digress. So if we talk about dining options, and I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on this one. Each cruise ship, or I have to keep correcting myself. Each cruise line has so many different dining options now. You've got celebrity restaurants. You got Guy Fieri with his burgers. You got one with Guy Fieri's chicken. You've got, I mean, the list is just immense. And then you have dining options that you can select for an upcharge. If you don't want to do the dinner service, because they have the dining room service. And to me, I have really never been disappointed in dinner service as far as quality of food on any cruise ship, even Carnival. Because even Carnival, their food is not as upper tier or as the quality concern as, say, a Royal Caribbean or a Disney or something like that. It might not be the same quality, but I've always been kind of impressed when it comes to dinner service. Each of those cruise ships, that's kind of like their claim to fame, is the dinner service, the 12 different entrees that come out to you. It's insane. A meal is a 2-hour experience, but it's neat. It's a cruise ship thing, right? And they don't really have that on most of your resorts. So that's one of the things that you kind of miss out on. I do love the dinner service when it comes to cruise ships. But dining now on a cruise ship, your options, it's all over the map. I mean, I don't even know what to say. And for me to be at a loss of words when it comes to food, that kind of scares me a little bit. Does it scare you? Because it kind of scares me. But let's keep talking. Let's keep digging into this. So when we talk about pricing, so if we look at, let's say, okay, we got a tight budget this year. We're going to look at Carnival all day long, every day. Carnival is always going to be your leader when it comes to a budget cruise. Now, here's a disclaimer. If you've never been on a cruise, understand, I don't care if you book that cruise, that 299-day cruise for $129. If you'll notice, the gap under your door on your stateroom is a little wider than most gaps under a door. That's so they can put that immense bill up under that door. I'm not kidding. It's crazy. And you'll get things on your bill. You're like, when did we eat octopus on a stick? And, and it was $89. When did we get our picture taken in front of this statue? I haven't even seen this. I mean, I'm making stuff up, but it really is that crazy. And after you've been on the boat for a few days, at the end of the week or end of the 3 or 4 days, whatever your trip is, that is going to be the thing that's going to come back and bite you in the proverbial rear end. And I kid you not, more people have been stung by the bill at the end of a cruise than I'm at a loss for words. So you have to be very careful of what you charge to your stateroom. They make it very, very easy to charge things to your stateroom. Now they have these your room card, your little plastic room card is now like your onboard credit card. And you could just hand that thing over. Yeah, put that on my room. Yeah, put that on my room. You do that a few times a day in 4 days and see what your bill looks like. I think they're actually having they used to use the porters to carry your luggage on and off the ship. I think they're using the porters now to carry your bill to your room. I know that sounds crazy, but it's really not far from it. So you got your cruise line picked, you got your destination, you got your budget in mind. Oh, I'm sorry, I got off on a roll. So if you want to go budget, is Carnival. Um, Mid-level would be your Norwegian or your Royal, and then of course if you want to go premium, and you really don't really have a budget to stick to, then you would go with like Celebrity or Princess. Um, it's pretty easy now to pick a cruise line and a ship that you want to go on, and pick everything that you want to pick and still go to the destination that you want to go. Because you've got the options are endless. Oh, well, this ship doesn't go there, but this ship over here does, and I can get this ship and I can get this. So yeah, so it's daunting, but it's if you just make your notes, check into each one of the cruise lines on their website, make your notes, and then sit down with your spouse and make a decision, and then you get ready to book. Now I'm going to stop you right there. So I'm going to ask you, because I know you've been taking notes, right? So I want you to put your crayon down for a moment. Or maybe I'm the only one who uses a crayon. I don't know. But I want to ask you to put your crayon down for a moment, because I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. You're going to be tempted to book excursions, and that's a good thing, okay? That's a good thing. But be careful. I cannot implore you enough to not book an excursion and book it on the outside. Always book your excursions through the cruise ship. Now, I'm going to have an email box that is just blown up, and that's okay. I can take it. Here's why. It's not that it's a bad deal. It's not that they're shady. What's going to happen is that cruise or that excursion operator, if you buy it off some website, they are not required to have you back at a certain time. If you book through the cruise ship, they know where you are, they know what excursion you're on, and they know exactly where you are because that excursion operator is in contact with the ship. And they're saying, hey, we're running a few minutes late. We're almost there. We ran into this. We ran into that. If you book on your own, you don't have that. You show up late to a cruise ship, you will stand on the dock and watch that ship leave. If you don't believe me, look on YouTube and just search cruise people that missed the boat. Just search "missed the boat" on YouTube. I guarantee you'll get hundreds of videos that will show you people that miss the boat, and they do not wait. They are on a tight schedule, and they will adhere to that one way or the other, whether you're on the boat or off the boat. And it's then your responsibility to catch some kind of airfare or other accommodations to either get you back home or get you to the next destination. That gets very pricey. So always book through the cruise ship. It's that way you're safe. And, don't forget to keep your wits about you. I do want to mention one more thing about dining. It just popped into my head that I would be doing you a disservice if I did not mention this. And that is buffets. So while cruise ships are well known for their endless buffets, midnight buffets, et cetera, do yourself a favor. Unless you're just tired and don't want to do the dinner service, skip the buffets. You paid this money for the cruise. I highly recommend sitting down in the dining room at your scheduled time and having the dinner service. Have the 18-course meal. Because unless you want to catch a show or something like that, if it's time constraint where you need to catch one of the Broadway shows or something on the ship, then by all means grab a buffet, grab a burger or whatever, so that you don't miss the show. If you're just trying to get back to the bar or back to the casino, trying to chase your losses, don't do that. Just sit down to the dinner and at least have the dinner. At least you'll go to bed with a full belly. So there's that. That's just my suggestion. So some ships are better at drink service than others, while Carnival tends to be, I don't even know if I would call it well drinks. Their drink packages and stuff are a lot to be desired. So if you like to have a few drinks on the ship, you got your pina colada, et cetera, your Mai Tai, your whatever, Blue Island Breeze, whatever your poison is. I think Royal Caribbean and Norwegian are the best, the two best out of all of them that really do a good job on the bar service. So that is my opinion. The next thing that each ship will try to attract you with is most of them now have their own little private island, and that will be one of the days in your, let's say you have a 4-day cruise, that'll be one of the days of your cruise is stopping off at their private island. There are pros and cons to this. One is it's an easier day on the wallet. Because while you can spend some money on their private island, souvenirs, etc., the food's usually included, and the activities are included, so it's easier on the wallet. But understand, if you pick your cruise based on the private island, understand that there are a lot of conditions that can prohibit you from getting to that private island. I cannot tell you how many times that we were supposed to have stopped at their private island and the winds were high. So the sea was, swelling at unheard of, and so they couldn't get the tender to the ship to get us off the boat onto the island. So we spent the day at sea. And if you've ever spent the day at sea on a cruise ship, it's a long day. That boat, even as big as it is, you're going to get you're going to get bored. I mean, even with the ships that have a ton of stuff, think about it. If you get up at 8:00 in the morning, you go to bed at midnight. That's a lot of hours on that boat. You're going to want to get off. Your sea legs are going to want to walk. So that's my only thing is just be careful if you solely choose your cruise on the private island, because it could be hit or miss. I've seen it even in the summertime, so just be aware of that. That's kind of like the nutshell of trying to pick a cruise. If you have any direct questions that I didn't cover, you're more than welcome to send me an email at accordingtowillieb@gmail.com, and I will give you any kind of travel tips that I can when it comes to cruises. I've been on so many, and I'll be glad to help you out in any way. So if you've never been on a cruise, or if you've been on one but you just can't get it nailed down because the selection is so immense, shoot me an email. Just say, hey, Will, just send it to accordingtowillieb@gmail.com, and I will reply to you very quickly and help you out all that I can. So there is that. So until I see you right back here again next week, please don't forget to caffeinate and conquer. And until I talk to you then, have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.